everybody, and welcome to the Good Woo. This is a video on the full moon that will be exact tomorrow, February 27th at 3:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And just adjust that based on your time zone. This is a really beautiful new moon, and a lot of you have been sending me messages and emails asking why I stopped doing the lunation videos for the new moon and the full moon. And it was really just been because I'm adjusting to a new home and a new job. So here we are. Let's get back into it because this is something that you guys are asking for. And if it's helpful, my God, it makes me so happy. So this Virgo full moon is really actually quite beautiful and beneficial. We have had some really hard full moons and new moons in 2020. And depending on the conversation that the celestial bodies are having in the sky, when there is a full moon or a new moon, that energy is what comes through those lunations. And it's just been really challenging, as you all know. This is nothing new, right? But when we do have lunations, full moons and new moons that are beneficial and positive and on the side of healing and goodness, then we really want to lean into them. And that is what this full moon offers. Virgo, the archetype of Virgo, right? It's a sign in the zodiac, but the archetype of it is really about service. It's about the connection to earth. It is an earth sign, and it's how we use our daily life to connect to spirit. It's about our health, the body as the temple, right? The body not as something that needs to be denied, but the body as the vehicle for us to experience our relationship with infinite spirit while we're in this human form. I like to think of Virgo also as like, it's very detail oriented, the archetypal energy of it. And so it brings us back to our diet, our digestion, those basic human fundamentals. And it allows us some time to look into them and see, where do we need to adjust? What do we need to change? Or where are we doing good and where do we need to pat ourselves on the back? This full moon is opposite Venus and Neptune in the sign of Pisces. So again, that idea of the body as the temple that allows us to experience the mystical, the spiritual, that which is unseen. So we really have to have our body in tune in order to reap the benefits of what infinite spirit is giving to us. And all of that guidance that we could be tapping into if our vibration is high, if our body is cleansed and purified. So this moon, we have a Virgo full moon every year at this time of year. And it reminds us, oh, right, spring coming, summer is coming, so where is our body at? We're gonna have to get in that bathing suit in a couple months. Where are you at with that? How are you feeling about that? And also this resurgence of energy to get outside, to be in nature, and to start moving. And this moon really offers us a sweet chance to do that. Now, there is some energy in this moon because all full moons illuminate, right? All full moons magnify our emotions. That's their job. So if there's emotions you haven't processed, emotions you're suppressing, and issues in relationships that you've been suppressing, they're likely to come forward. But because this full moon has so many positive aspects, it means that there's going to be a chance to heal, to forgive, to change your perspective. Virgo is that myopic, detailed perspective, and the shadow side of Virgo is that you get so consumed by details that you lose the bigger picture. You want to see the forest, right? You want to have that eagle bird's eye view. That's going to give you some outside of the box solutions to whatever is illuminated, to whatever you've been suppressing, to maybe problems in relationships or jobs or projects, whatever that is. Now, we've just come out of this Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, and there's still so much Aquarius energy going on. And indeed, this entire year, it's Aquarius heavy. It's Uranus heavy. Uranus is so active this year. In fact, in many ways, I feel like Uranus is that's the theme of this year, which means big change. And the way we get ahead of the cosmic energy is to start making those changes yourself so that that energy doesn't force you into it, because that's what the energy flow can do. So all that being said, the last thing I just want to mention before I pull some cards for us is that there is, the roles that we've played in society, and specifically because we had this break of what 2020 really like brought us so down to that dense earth vibration, that really having to muck rake. What are our relationships? What roles are we playing in our work? What roles are we playing in our family? This moon in particular is going to highlight where those roles maybe never were who you actually were. So for instance, like the role in your sibling, like, are you an only child? Are you the first child, the middle child, the last child? And what society has said about those roles. If you're the middle child, you can't be really ambitious because, you're supposed to be like in the in-between. And yet with this moon, you may realize, actually, no, I'm a middle child and I'm super ambitious, and that's held me back, and I'm totally deleting that out of my programming. It can also be, coming up for us if you're a mother or a father or a grandparent, like what is that role? And society has said it's one thing, but maybe you're feeling like you need to shift it. Or also your relationship to your mother and father. It's up for review right now. And where does it need healing? Where do these roles that we've taken on, can we see, okay, this is where they benefited me and this is where they haven't. And so now what is your relationship going to be with those roles? And even in your workplace, as an actor, I know that like actress, that idea of what that hierarchy is and is all shifting so dramatically, as it should, but it doesn't mean that it's easy, because we have to then redefine ourselves in all of our relationships right now. That was part of what that great pause that 2020 was there for us to really evaluate what are our values. What do we value in our relationships? What do we value about ourselves? And how do we want to cultivate that value? And Venus now being in the sign of Pisces, there's this really juicy energy the next month to have a sense of space for this exploration. To say, I don't like this role anymore, and I want to redefine it. I want to shift it. That's all I'll say on that, because it's such an individual process, to say, okay, as an actress, I think of it as like when you're wearing a costume and you're like, okay, you know what? These gloves aren't going to work anymore. They're not going to work. These don't fit. I need a new color glove, or maybe I don't need a glove at all. The idea of what do you need and how do you need to define yourself to be taking action on those ideas that you're bringing back, right? If you're watching my videos, I was talking about this Mercury retrograde giving us an opportunity to reclaim ideas we've had in the past, but that we didn't act upon because we thought, well, I'm not going to have the resources for that. Or what are people going to think of me if I go after that dream, if I try to make this happen? Well, what people think is more and more becoming less important as the circumstances of society and our existence shift, where you're realizing like life is short. It's time to take action on what you want. And as far as, that fear of are resources going to be there or not, this full moon is asking you leap into faith that if you've had that dream, if that idea has come to you, it is yours to manifest. And the faith in that is what brings the resources in. Certainly not your worry, right? Which I know, easier said than done. I'm on this path too. So I'm going to pull some cards just to give us some more guidance as to what this full moon is about. We got rain, time to replenish. Beautiful, right? Because this is a season. This is the season where, it's going to be raining a lot as the earth prepares to birth springtime. It's this weird little rainy period right before spring really begins. But you think about This makes me think about tears, because I don't know about you guys, like, you know, in my work, I can cry like that. And to which eye do you want the tears to come out of? I'm right on it. But in my life, in my real life, it can be so difficult to let go and be vulnerable enough to let tears flow. But the tears are cleansing, and it releases all these juicy, wonderful hormones that replenish us, that give us a sense of comfort and space to keep moving forward. So it's a full moon after all. And if you haven't cried in the full moon portal, that's, you know, the 3 days before a new moon and the 3 days after, if it hasn't brought you to tears in some way, be that through joy or frustration or anger or grief or whatever, then I would say you're not in touch with the cosmic cycles, because this full moon energy is meant to bring you to this kind of release, to really connect you with your emotional body, to connect you with your feelings. When you're connected to your feelings, that's connection to your soul, your spirit, and that's connection to your purpose and your path. When you're connected to your feelings, you aren't running ahead of yourself, and therefore, you know, this idea of the change that's coming, when you're not in your feelings, the change is going to feel like a smack. But if you're in your feelings, you're going to be the one to make those changes, because that's what our feelings are for. Our feelings show us where we need to be moving. And it's usually towards forgiveness and compassion, if we can allow them to bring us there. Time to replenish. This also makes me think about, you know, this Virgo energy of cleansing. And the body, like, this is the time when the body really wants to shed weight that we've been carrying in the winter, figuratively and literally, and the clearing out of grudge points that you've been holding. So, like always I say with full moons, it's the best time right now to write the letters to the people that you're holding resentment to. And maybe that's to yourself, maybe that's to your younger self. You know, that's a lot of what I've been doing recently, when I think I'm angry at someone and then I realize, no. I'm actually angry at myself for how it started, or what I got myself into, or what I said to initiate it at all, you know? And you have to forgive yourself for not knowing where the path would lead. And because also, if you think about it, everywhere you've been led, there is something to gain from each and everything you would consider a mistake. That's what I find when I write these letters to myself, when I'm angry at myself. Why they're so important is because if you really dedicate yourself and focus on that letter and write, and don't think about it, just write, by the end of it, you get to an understanding. It takes you on a winding river journey to an understanding of why it all had to happen the way it did. And then the lesson, that the nugget, right, the beautiful gem that's in all of that you can put in your crown and be like, aha, now I know. So I just drew, for our crystal, carnelian. Now carnelian is very connected with the goddess and archetype of Isis, which is that mother goddess energy, back to this idea of the roles that are played. And this brings me back to an idea, by the way, the key word is creativity here. So this is some creative thinking I'm going to bring up right now. We consider the earth to be female, right? Gaia, Mother Earth. But the Egyptians, the early Egyptians, it was called Seb, S-E-B, and it was male. So carnelian is actually a very masculine, energetic stone. It's a stone of will and ambition, creativity in motion. So this says to me, we need to be tapping into our masculine, everybody has it, right? This is not about gender, because we're all filled with these archetypes and we all have all of this within us. We're all on a spectrum at each level of how intense and where and how. That's what makes each of us so individual and so unique. But carnelian is saying there's some creativity within you. There are ideas that need you to push them out and forward. Same idea that we've been talking about, that if you have that, whoa, that spark about something, that like aha moment when you're like, oh my God, that would be genius. That's yours. That passion, that effervescence that it feels within, that's for you to then put out into the world. That's your gift. That's your way of serving. And indeed, this is a moon and Virgo is all about service. Where are you serving the whole? Where are you serving humanity? Virgo is also, this archetype rules our relationship with small animals, our pets. If you think about the relationship we have with our small animals, there's so much grace there. They depend on us to feed them and house them and take care of them and clean their poo and pee, right? It's kind of like having a child, if not exactly like having a child. There's so much grace in that relationship. This brings me to the idea of, then how do we take that grace into our human relationships? That is creative thinking in itself. How can you use your relationships with your pet, that unconditional love you have for your pet that you may not have for the humans in your life, and to actually implement and mirror their energy, their unconditional love for you? You know, really thinking that those animals are our teachers, our pets are our teachers as to how to love our fellow man, especially those that we feel have done us wrong or those that we disagree with. So it's definitely a moon to love your pets. And if you're thinking about getting a pet, perhaps this is a good moon to do it. Okay, one more card, and we got the unseen and the mother. I love doing this for you guys. So let's talk about the unseen first. You know, excuse me. Every full moon is the sun opposite the moon. So the sun right now is in Pisces. The moon is in Virgo. So every full moon, if you want to look at it astrologically, is the relationship between the polarity of the signs the sun and moon are in. Pisces, where the sun is right now, where Venus is right now, and where Neptune is right now, is offering us a relationship with what we can't see. A intimacy with infinite spirit, an intimacy with your guides, intimacy with the angelic realm. So it's a beautiful time to start exploring that if you haven't already. This is a time where prayer is amplified. This full moon, you know, I'm thinking about like, what do I title this video? This is considered the bone moon in Native American cultures, indigenous cultures of the United States here, this continent. The bone moon, the storm moon is another name for this moon, and the snow moon. Storm, bone, snow. So this is like very shamanic, right? It's how the earth connects us to the unseen realm through the elements, through the death process, right? Everything is in a cycle of death and rebirth. We're coming out of winter where everything died, now about to be reborn. We're right at the precipice before that birth moment right now. So in a lot of ways, the veils are quite thin, the veils between the seen and the unseen. So it's a time to really dive deep. And if it's something that, you know, you've never done before, now is a time to start doing that. And if you want some help doing that, you know where to find me, thegoodwoo.org, info@thegoodwoo.org. info@thegoodwoo.org is the email. Okay, next, the mother. So look at this, the pearl within. I think this really points us to what I was saying about the roles that we've played in society, the roles that we've allowed others to play in our life. And specifically, what is mother? And if you like, even this idea that the earth is mother, and I've just given you the information that, you know, the ancient people of the world, it was male, Seb. Where do you need to think outside of the box around the mother archetype and their relationship with your own mother? But most importantly, the relationship with how you mother yourself. How are you loving yourself? How are you caring for yourself? How are you nurturing yourself? Where are you at with that? Have you gotten to know the mother archetype within, whether you're male or female or how you gender identify? Do you know the part of yourself that is ready to care for your feelings, that is ready to tuck you in at night, that's ready to make sure that you're getting the nutrients you need, that's ready to make sure that, you know, you are being discerning about the people you're around and what you're putting into your body, mind, and spirit? Mothering ourselves, so important. You know, and I feel like this whole entire situation we're in, you know, as far as the medical realm is concerned and our immune systems and all of that, if there's so many silver linings, but one of them is really like bringing to the forefront, how do you care for your health? Where is your hygiene at? Are you on top of it? Have you neglected it? And how does it make you feel to take care of yourself? I know for me, just a little bit of testimony, it took me a long time to understand that self-care, mothering myself, could be this amazing act of creativity, creating beauty in my environment, which we have a lot of heavy Venus energy right now, which allows us to really see where we can create beauty, where we can make each moment of our daily life something creative and co-creating it with infinite spirit. For me, this moon is really about how can you make waking up a spiritual act to connect you with the unseen forces that are waiting to help you? How can you make brushing your teeth, going to the bathroom, right? Such a mundane experience. Cooking your breakfast, making your tea or coffee, taking your supplements, working out, going to work, whether it's at home or elsewhere. Each conversation, how do you make it something beautiful? How do you make it something creative? How do you make it something that you could say, each thing I'm doing is nurturing myself. Each act, each task is an act of creatively loving myself. And to go further, each act, each task is a ritual to connect with the unseen, which is the other 50% of life that's available to me. Cultivating a relationship with the unseen is like lifting weights. It's a muscle. It's a cumulative. Okay, so that's a little bit on this full moon, and I hope this helps you guys really connect with it and get out there, get under it. These rays are perfect to charge your crystals, right? Clean the jewelry, collect the moon water, put some jugs out there of water and glass, purified water and glass, and let it soak up this full moon energy. And then, you know, this next 2 weeks, that can be, you know, the water you drink before you do your meditation. That can be the water you drink before you go to sleep, and you charge it to help you have, you know, beautiful dreams and inspiring dreams. All right. And maybe put some carnelian in that water too, since this is the crystal we're going to be working with. Thank you all so much for viewing. If you have any questions, please email me at info@thegoodwoo.org. If you're interested in sessions, I have limited time and availability, but you know, I take people when I can. I'm fitting people in right now because I think it's important. So if it's something you need and want, reach out to me. There's also a sliding scale available. Wishing you all a blessed, I'm going to call this a blessed bone moon.